My name is Dylan Clemens, and I'm here to talk to you today about how Marvel's Avengers Endgame became a pop culture moment. When was the last time you saw a movie and thought it was good enough to see it more than once? Not see it once in the theaters and then see it a couple more times when it comes in on TV, but actually go to the theater more than once and see a movie. First time I did was for Avengers Endgame, and I saw it 3 times while it was still in theaters, one of those times being the midnight premiere. I've been a fan of the MCU since I was 7, when I saw the first Iron Man movie in theaters, and Robert Downey Jr. playing Tony Stark said the words, "I am Iron Man," sparking what is, according to Alexandra Hudson, the author of the scholarly article, The Secret Behind the Success of Avengers Endgame, the most prosperous film franchise of all time. Endgame represented a massive payoff for those who had been fans since the beginning, through all 22 movies in 11 years. This was such a big movie because of this massive build-up, which came from the franchise that had tons of moving pieces and interwoven storylines, as you can see, more than any other franchise has in the history of film. People have known the core Avengers since 2011, like Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye. And these characters are beloved because they're known actors that fit the part well, such as Paul Rudd, a new actor who's already liked because of the way he fits the Ant-Man character, or because they're actors who have become synonymous with their part over time, such as Robert Downey Jr. For example, to older generations, he's known as an addict, a playboy, someone who was an issue in the news. But to most people today in my generation, he's known as Iron Man. Fans wanted to see how things were going to pan out for their favorite characters, especially after half of them were snapped out of existence by Thanos, the antagonist in the sequel. As Richard Trenholm said in his article, Avengers Endgame spoiler-packed review so close to being perfect. Everything is done in the close company of a crew of friends that we've grown to love during the first decade of the MCU. Trenholm also talks about how the time travel section of the movie and the callbacks in it, where the heroes go back in time to reverse what the antagonist did, we get to see a bit of the first Avengers movie we didn't even see the first time, a remix of the Winter Soldier's elevator fight scene, and Captain America fighting himself. And this is entertaining for fans who first saw these scenes years ago and now get to see them from a different perspective. The challenging of sociocultural norms has also caused it to become a pop culture moment. Joe Russo, the co-director, played the first openly gay character in the MCU. And there's also a challenging of sociocultural norms when the female characters unite together. There's one scene where Spider-Man, played by Tom Holland, asks Captain Marvel how she plans to get something through a crowd of the enemy's forces when the rest of the female Avengers come into frame, with Elizabeth Olsen's character, Scarlet Witch, saying, "Don't worry," and Denai Guerrera's character, Okoye, finishing her sentence and saying, "She's got help." This is positive and needed, as female sci-fi characters and superheroes only appeared as role models for 18% of younger girls and 3% of the older cohort. Teenage girls who took the survey were significantly less likely than teenage boys to describe themselves as brave, confident, and heard. According to the article, Female Representation in Superhero Movies and Games Matters, a new study says, by Sanam Yar. Yar also said that despite the underrepresentation of female sci-fi characters and superheroes, 9 in 10 girls said that those characters served as positive role models and that female representation in those areas was empowering, with the data suggesting that young girls feel more confident when they see on-screen heroes who look like them. And a real-life example of this is just today. The trailer for the new Black Widow movie came out, and in 12 hours it already has 10 million views, so people obviously want to see female superheroes in movies, and Marvel is helping to push this forward. People love these characters and wanted to see some of them off, as most people believe that Black Widow, Iron Man, and Captain America would be leaving the MCU after this movie, which they did. Alexandra Hudson contends that people love characters like Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America because of the values that they represent, such as Captain America representing sacrifice and honor over personal gain, Thor reminding us that often the greatest enemy is the enemy within us, and Iron Man representing the bootstrap mentality that many Americans hold on a high standard. We also see that these 3 characters act completely different ways than they did when they were first introduced in the MCU. Tony Stark was introduced as a hothead billionaire playboy, but in the end he ends up making the sacrifice and saving the world at the cost of his own life. Captain America takes personal time to live his own life, which goes against his greater cause mentality that he has always had. And Thor has fallen far from his regal and self-assured personality that fans have become so used to. Now, the last reason that this was a huge pop culture moment is because of the social media and digital marketing campaigns behind it, such as Disney backing it with the largest marketing campaign of all time, the 2 official trailers for Endgame on YouTube having a combined 21 million views on them, and the Russos, the directors of the film, having a massive social media presence themselves. According to Kevin Winston's articles, Avengers Endgame snaps records thanks to social media and digital marketing. The Russos have 2 million Instagram followers and 75,000 Twitter followers. I followed these accounts and saw firsthand the teaser materials that they released, as well as some of the hashtags that they used, like hashtag don't spoil the endgame. According to Kevin Winston, as of April 30th, 2019, hashtag Avengers Endgame had 2 million mentions on Twitter. And he also mentioned that Twitter released over 30 custom hashtags with emojis of respective characters. These are some of the reasons that Avengers Endgame was a pop culture moment and will stand the test of time as a great movie. That's it.